I didn't want college loans for the rest of my life.
Because I wanted a career for the rest of my life.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. 529 college savings plans accepted. Not available in Washington State.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 1/13 through 1/15. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Mostly sunny skies for us this afternoon, and on the milder side, actually, 52, which is close to normal for this time of year. It's a cold night tonight, 25 under clear skies, and a colder day tomorrow, too, with highs in the mid-40s under sunny skies.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 293 points to 42,232.
Bounces left wing, Hill penetrates, rises, scores! Righty layup, Marcus Hill. Hill pull up for the lead. Got it, right corner, right elbow, Hill drills it.
Bounce pass to J-Wash, kicks it in the corner. Ian Jackson, another triple. Drives hard against O'Connell. Gets deep, almost tied up by Middlebrooks. Finds Washington for the dunk. Taylor going to drive hard against Cadeau. His shot blocked by Jalen Washington. Into the hands. Washington has it. That's it.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Tim Donnelly. Dennis Cox producing the show. We hyped up that weekend quite a bit with how much awesome stuff there was going on in sports. I'd say there was a lot going on. Maybe didn't live up to it in every aspect. A lot of two-score games down the stretch that I was just going, if this was a little closer. But you can't say that about UNC NC State. UNC gets the win, men's basketball. Can't say it was a two-score game. Can't say it wasn't competitive. It is another reminder that competitive and quality doesn't always mean the same thing. I don't know if it was the best basketball we've ever seen played, but it was a win for UNC and it was a loss for NC State.
Definitely was not the best basketball.
And I'm curious this. Today's a Monday, which means 3:30 we have a Monday Soundoff. We'll open up the phone lines in about a half hour. Heister Automotive Group hotline. Bookmark the phone number now if you want to call in, 919-860-5326. But I'm curious if UNC fans are happy. Right? I'm curious if they're going to call in talking trash to NC State because, right, you win a rivalry game. It came down to the wire. You got the block. There may or may not have been some Wolfpack down hand signals from players on UNC on the way off the court. Like, I'm wondering if they're going to call in with that kind of bravado or if it's going to be kind of a tail between your legs, little like, we got the win, but we know that maybe we shouldn't have always been the most celebrated team. Like winning a swimming match because everybody else false started. You're like, yeah, I won, but I don't know I'm going to brag about that one. It's a win, don't get me wrong. And a win is a win is a win. And in college sports of any level, you celebrate every win. But Dennis posed this question to me earlier today, and I think it's a really good way to recap for looking at UNC side. There's plenty of time to talk about NC State side, but looking at UNC side, it's a win. Did that win change anything? Did it make you more confident in UNC moving forward, or was it just that? It was just a win. UNC, here's why I struggle with that answer. UNC looked so much, and this is like the double negative, less disjointed. Jointed? They look so much more jointed, right? They look disjointed most of the year. Last couple of weeks, they started to look less disjointed than they did earlier in the season. The roles, so much more comfortable. Ian Jackson led the way in this game. Right, 20-plus points, looked like the elite player that he is, draft boards shooting on up. Elliot Cadeau, double-digit assists, set everybody up. Earlier in the year, I think he auditioned himself as like a shooter-scorer type, and now I'm going to dish out 11 assists. Drake Powell, a little bit of everything. Jalen Washington, double-digit rebounds, and UNC out-rebounded their opponent. That doesn't happen very often. Seth Trimble gave great defensive effort off the bench. Again, I think he auditioned a different role earlier in the year, settling back into what he knows he does best, which is be an elite perimeter defender and an energy guy and can score when the offense comes to him. RJ Davis didn't shoot them out of the game, didn't shoot a billion threes, and didn't shoot the highest percentage, but it wasn't bad. All of that is steps forward from where they were a month ago. And you still beat NC State by 2? You still needed a block at the buzzer to win? Oh, and by the way, the disjointedness, NC State looked disjointed. So you were the one that had kind of your act together, and they were disjointed, and you played all the way even. I don't know if that makes me very confident. If my players play the way they should, and we do something we don't do very often in out-rebounding the opponent, and our size doesn't actually hurt us, and all of these things that had been holding us back, if none of that holds us back and we're still in a dogfight with a team who hasn't figured out their identity yet, I'm taking the win, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking to replay it. I'm not asking to run it back. It's my win. You can't take it from me. And fans, if you're in an office somewhere and you have Carolina blue stickers on your wall and the person next to you has red and black stickers on their wall, talk your trash, because a win is a win is a win. But the people within that UNC team, I think it's more of a back to the drawing boards deal.
Well, on our YouTube live chat, Butch says 100% happy, win ugly 30 minutes down the road, and a live Jalen Washington sighting.
Hey. I get it. And
I get it too.
That's my point. You needed a live Jalen Washington sighting, which is a bit, and this is no disrespect to Jalen Washington. I think he's playing out a role as like an enforcing big. It's a bit Sasquatch-ish. Like you get the sighting, you write it down, and then you wait a couple years to see it again.
I think it's his first career double-double, if I remember correctly.
And the energy down the stretch and the edge down the stretch, like there's a lot of good from Jalen Washington, but if you got 10% less Jalen Washington, you lose that game. You get 5% less Jalen Washington, you're going to overtime. That catch he made from Cadeau for the game-winning bucket, obviously once he secures the ball, wide open, easy, two-hand slam. The catch, that's a nice catch. That's a blocking tight end from 2 feet away catching a heater. That's a really good play by him, and you needed it. Hubert Davis talked to the media after the game. Let's jump to him talk about the different guys. On different guys stepping up for UNC.
But it is nice to see different people step up on both ends of the floor for us in late game situations, and that's been a real key for us, whether it's Jay Wash today made the game-winning basket and the game-winning stop. And so you talked about Elliott and Ian in the second half was spectacular offensively.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, you got contributions from all over the place. Guys are playing in their roles. You're against a team who's where you were a month ago, still trying to figure it out. Still, who's our guy? Who's the main scorer? Marcus Hill for NC State scored their last 6 points, scored their last 3 buckets. Jaden Taylor got the ISO to try to win the game. They're disjointed.
I think Hill scored their first 10 points, if I remember correctly.
Bookends it. The beginning and the end. What the heck were you doing in the middle? What the heck were you doing on the last possession? They're disjointed. UNC is jointed, and you still won by 2. I don't know if that's internally something to get excited about. Externally, fan base, as you heard, win down the road, win in a rivalry game. Doesn't matter if it's ugly, pretty. Get the win, get the win, get the win. I got you. Internally, you need to start doing things like putting, entire games together. You need to start doing things like taking advantage when the other team starts reeling a bit, putting your foot on their throat. So when you're ahead by 6, 7, 8 in the second half, it becomes 10, and it becomes taking the life out of your opponent. Hubert Davis talked about putting the need, I should say, to put together 2 halves.
We just got to do a better job from a defensive standpoint. They shot 60% from the field in the second half. We gave them 16 offensive rebounds. That's just not sustainable, and we can't live on that. And so the growth for us is to put 2 halves together defensively and rebounding. Then I feel like we're in a really good spot.
Yes, as is every team. Put together a complete game. And you start doing it more often. And that's not to say there wasn't good, by the way. Right? There's so much individual good from UNC over the last couple of weeks. So I don't want to pretend like it's all doom and gloom. You won the game. There's individual good all over the place. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell taking the next steps. You brought up Jalen Washington on the YouTube comments. 100% Jalen Washington is something to be excited about. Out-rebounding your opponent, regardless of how they play, is something to be excited about for UNC. Getting out-rebounded by, 4 is sometimes something to be excited about for UNC. There's good, there's indifferent, and then there's things to be concerned about, and you're getting them all. And as I said for UNC a couple weeks ago, every win buys you a couple more days to get to the drawing board. Right? You got to roll through ACC play to be even in the mix for an at-large if you want to go that route to the NCAA tournament. So a win is a win, and it keeps you alive for that. Gives you another couple days to hit the drawing board. But at some point, you gotta finish the drawing. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending. And that's Gordon Miller and Miller Lending, where they keep you prepared for the unpredictable. Rates are volatile. Next week up, next week down, next week the same. You tell me what they are, because I have a hard time predicting just like everybody else does. However, what I can predict is that you'll be happy if you get a no closing costs loan with Miller Lending. What it does is it allows you to take advantage of falling rates. If they drop and they're now lower than what you locked your rate in at, fine. Refinance, no closing costs, no fees, no money out of your pocket. Just lower your monthly rate with a call and a quick setup from Miller Lending. Meanwhile, rates go up next week because they're volatile. We don't know what they're going to do. You're going to be happy because you locked in your rate before, right? Oh, it's going to go up for everybody that was waiting and trying to time it perfectly. Meanwhile, you locked in your rate with a no closing cost loan. It gives you the best of both worlds, the flexibility to benefit no matter what happens. Give them a call, 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that is millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Canes, they lost on Sunday. It was Eric Staal Day. It was the 12th. They had the good vibes, came up short in overtime. What was the cause? I'll tell you coming up.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
The Green Bay Packers simply couldn't beat the elite talent in the NFC. They were winless against the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and now the Eagles. Lost 2 games to both of those teams. They were good. They were not good enough. That, to me, is the story of the Green Bay Packers this season. So it was a good season, not a great one.
Unsportsmanlike.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here from my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, and here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, including half-price pizzas Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
To understand what makes Diamonds Direct different, you have to understand our history. It goes back 60 years to a renowned diamond cutter overseas. From there came years of diamond cutting, manufacturing and wholesaling, supplying exquisite fine diamonds only to high-end jewelers. Then eventually the wholesalers started selling direct to the public, and that started a revolution. Today, we are a global diamond powerhouse with hundreds of thousands of customers and an impeccable reputation. But our core values are the same as always. Our diamonds are the highest quality cut by the best craftsmen. Our prices are the most compelling. Our selection is staggering. Our warranties and guarantees are rock solid. And our people are laser focused on helping you find the diamond of your dreams. We invite you to experience a jewelry shopping experience unlike any other. Showroom hours, directions, and more online at DiamondsDirect.com. Official jeweler of the Carolina Hurricanes and proud sponsor of NC State Athletics. And proud to call the Triangle home. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. 2025 needs to start clean. Get all that dirt from 2024 out of your carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your house, because in 2025, we're starting Zero Resified. Biggest sale of the year. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, starting at just $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning while you're at it. Offer is open through January 31st, so visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000.
Burns, right back for Natchez. Natchez to Jarvis, and he scores! Seth Jarvis with the extra attacker. We're tied at 2.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The Canes lost on Staal today, which, you know, doesn't take away anything. I want to make sure, right? Eric Staal having his number put up in the rafters, jersey retirement, everything that went along with it. Really cool. Nostalgia. Do you know what always gets me? When those happen and they show the old like roster pictures, and then you see some of the hairstyles and you're like, oh gosh, it was that long ago. We were still doing the gel spike in the front of the hair. Oh man, didn't seem that long ago, but I guess it was. Here's the hard part. The Canes, I'm calling it the whack-a-mole, continued. If you need another kind of analogy, the old school cartoons like Bugs Bunny or whatever, where there's a hole in the boat and you put your thumb in it, then a hole sparks somewhere else, they put your finger in it, hole sparks, all right, now I got to put my Bugs Bunny's ear in that hole, and then another, and you just, now you got to take this hand and that one's leaking, and you just, there's too many holes and you got to try to keep them all plugged. The whack-a-mole continued. I thought, and this is 100% true, starting last week, one of my biggest complaints of the Canes kind of was not an issue. The edge, the spark, the people feeling that they were sluggish and deciding I need to be the one to go light the fire. It wasn't there the past 3 or 4 games. When they kind of hit a lull, somebody did. And oftentimes Jordan Staal did find a way to ignite the crowd or ignite the team or make the move to change the momentum. That was very pleasant. And I attribute some of it to the fact that it was a Staal weekend and Jordan Staal wasn't going to leave that weekend without making a few plays, and he did. Which, by the way, on Friday, I had first goal scorer prediction. Nailed it because I picked Jordan Staal in the first. Not to pat myself on the back, but to say Jordan Staal sent some moments from the hat trick to opening the scoring the next day. He did a lot of good things. So it's, as that whack-a-mole was smacked on the head, another one popped up on our backside, our blind side, which is the other most concerning thing, the other thing we've been tracking all season, which is the goaltending issue. How confusing of a weekend was it for Canes goaltending? You win in a shutout, 2-0 against Vancouver, with Dustin Tokarski in net. Then you come back on Sunday with your first goalie, right, with Pyotr Kochetkov in net. He gives up a couple of softies, and suddenly you lose an OT. It's all right, where you've solved this other thing that's been drawing concern. You got that taken care of. This other one that we thought was being fixed is over here now sprouting a leak. And as soon as, I guarantee you, as soon as Kochetkov starts playing better, if he does start playing better, as soon as Freddie gets back in the mix and they can go back to their 1-1-1-1 rotation, as soon as that's happening, right then I'll be sitting here going, somebody's got to be the sandpaper again. That's how this season feels for the Canes. That's how this season feels for the Canes. They're still, and this is why, they're still a good team. Right? We were talking off air, and Dennis just goes like, "They're still going to make the playoffs," and I'm like, "Yeah, there's no arguing that. They're still a good team. They will still make the playoffs." That's that's one of those two things can be true at the same time. They're winning enough to still be a top third of the league team. They're winning enough to still be an assumed playoff team. They're winning enough to still know that if things break their way, they could go on a run, and they aren't winning as often as they should. They aren't winning as often as they should. And in the NHL, obviously you have the weird point system, so the loss in OT isn't as bad as a regulation loss, and you can do all of that. It still goes back to what we were talking about. They have not won 3 consecutive games since their most dominant 3-game stretch of the season from November 16th to 20th when they outscored opponents 12-2. Ottawa, St. Louis, and Philly. 4-0, 4-1, 4-1. At that point in time, if you would have told me you won't win 3 games in a row again until at least mid-January, if you win the next 3, it would be January 20th is when you'd get it done, I would have told you were crazy. I would have said there's too much talent on this roster. I would have said they're playing too well. I would have said something along the lines of, with the way Natchez is playing. And little did I know that streak or that little stumble would include Natchez taking a big step back in production. There's a lot of things that this team does very, very well. There seems to always be one thing holding them back from stringing together a whole bunch of really good games. And that again, the Anaheim game's no different. Rod Brindamore after the game felt like they controlled the game mostly against the Ducks.
We had a few good looks, and kind of whiffed. It was just some weird plays. It just wasn't tonight. I mean, right away, even in the first period, I think Netzi has a beautiful look. It was off the bar maybe, or like those are the inches here or there that just changes the whole game. So I'm going to look at it from the positive side of things. I thought it was a 60-minute. I thought it was a solid game, and I loved how we certainly didn't quit and found a way to at least tie it up.
They found a way to at least tie it up. For some reason, I don't think in Rod's inner monologue, finding a way to at least tie it up really got him that jacked up, other than getting the 1 point. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna right here, right now. We just got an email, and this shows you that I am paying attention. This comes from Stuart. Stuart said, "Let's not forget without Piotr's amazing play versus Toronto on Thursday, could have been 5-0 halfway through the first period with all the breakaways. Let's not forget on goal number 1 versus Anaheim, the goal scorer was wide open in front of the net and took a pass that no one defended. It's not all on 52. The reason why I'm putting that email up is because I said something similar earlier today. I said to Adam Gold, right, because we you may not believe this, but we're all sports nerds around here, and even when we're not on air, we're still talking about sports. Talk about Pyotr Kochetkov, and he was going to go in, and I'm sure if you were listening to his show from 12 to 3, he revealed this, but he was doing all the math on how expected goals and how many points that Pyotr Kochetkov may have caused or I should say cost the Canes. And one of the things I said was, I've been a big Pyotr guy in the past, and it always felt like he was perceptible to a softie or two, but he always made 2 or 3 spectacular plays to steal a goal in addition to it, and it hasn't been that same ratio this year. He's letting softies and great saves in more to 1-to-1 than he's done in the past, which makes it a little less appetizing for me. And Adam basically said, yeah, except all good goalies make special saves occasionally. Right, we're not, again, it's the Canes thing. We're not comparing you to the bad goalies, comparing you to the good goalies. And right, against Anaheim, you get Natchez with half the net wide open in front of him. He connects with it, right, puts a good shot on it. Get just a piece, stop like that play is taking a goal off the board. Other goalies can do that too. So you're right. Like, it's not saying that Pyotr Kochetkov never makes good plays, never makes great plays. He does. It's that the good goalies, the ones that are worthy of being contending team goalie ones, occasionally make the spectacular plays and way more consistently don't give up the softies. And I went into it with a very similar thought to Stuart, and you know, you got to tip your cap to somebody that knows more than you, right? Know what you don't know. Adam put me on business pretty quick, which I appreciate, because I don't need all the, 2 compliments and a criticism. Like, just if I'm missing something here, tell me. So Stuart, no disrespect, I was right there with you. I think you're missing something. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it is Monday Soundoff time. What do you want to sound off on? The Canes, right? Don't feel like you got to go to the email or the social media. You can call right into the show. 919-860-5326. The Canes. If there's an offseason Panthers take, obviously college basketball. You want to hype up Cooper Flagg? You want to say why 42 isn't that impressive for Cooper Flagg? The UNC-NC State game, either side. We want to hear all of your sounding off. 919-860-5326. 919-860-5326. Heister Automotive Group hotline is open. Monday Sound Off. All of your takes coming up.
It's bowl season.
Happy New Year!
Listen for college football's best through January 20th. Every major bowl will be brought to you live.
Notre Dame wins it 27-24. The Irish will play for the College Football Playoff National Championship.
Bowl season on 99.9 The Fan and Buzz Sports is presented by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Just in time for you to have a great new year, it's the Start Something New sales event at John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington. Put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn for 25% off. That's like a quarter of a truck for free. And not just any truck, a shiny new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn. See dealer for details. Make this your best year yet. Get off your keister and get to John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington.
Can your heating and air system handle the winter chill? Call Newcomb & Company to ensure your system is running at peak performance. As a Comfort Contract customer, you'll get priority service and a 15% discount on all HVAC and plumbing service calls and repairs. Newcomb & Company, your independent trained dealer, has proudly served our community for more than 70 years, delivering reliable comfort and peace of mind. Call 919-862-3000 or visit newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company, your comfort is our business.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
This is Creighton Blackwell from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan, and we're here at South Garner High School to celebrate our next Scholar Athlete of the Month. And that Scholar Athlete is Samayan Jones.
It means a lot to me because my parents, they want me to do well and make it in life. So this is for them. I try to work hard in the classroom and on the court for them and do my best.
He's never trying to bring no negative energy, and I feel like that's what makes him a more productive teammate.
My teammates, they encourage me a lot because, I've been through injuries. They cheer me on because 2 games ago was my first time getting back on the court. So they cheer me on, encourage me every day. That's why I keep doing what I do.
He was always there on practice, just cheering us up and just carrying us on for practice, even though he wasn't playing. So that just shows what type of guy he is.
And then I have him in my class, so he's a great student as well. Just last week, one of his real good friends, he's like, Junior's just a good vibe, man. And that's what he is.
Congratulations, Samayan.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Sammy Hanna, owner-operator of the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I tell people this all the time. If I am doing a commercial for somebody, I am vouching for who they are and what they do. You guys do great work, but your customer service stands above all the great work that you do.
Adam, I truly appreciate that testimonial. And yeah, we try to take pride in our customer service and meet and exceed our homeowners' expectations on all their home improvement needs. Obviously, there's many companies out there that do what we do. If you Google home improvements, Raleigh, you're going to get many, many companies. But you're not going to find too many companies out there that have a 4.9 rating and over 800 Google reviews and over 7,000 Guild quality reviews. It takes a lot of work on our part to make sure we meet and exceed all your expectations on customer service. And we're going to continue to do so because that's why we've been in business since 1961.
I have used the Aluminum Company. I have not heard anyone that had anything but incredible things to say about all of you, and that is amazing. That's a testimony to how you guys do it. Aluminum Company of North Carolina, aluminumcompany.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to open up the phone lines. Little Monday sound off. A lot took place over the weekend. College football playoff. We have a national championship set. Riley Leonard and Notre Dame taking on Ohio State. We have the NFL playoffs going on and will be going on again tonight. We have college basketball going on. Cooper Flagg scored 48. There's a lot of 42, not 48. Felt like 48. 42.
I'm sure if he wanted, he could
42 on 14 shots. There's a lot to get. And NC State basketball. UNC comes away with the win by 2. Block at the buzzer to win it, and then a little trash talk. The Heister Automotive Group hotline is open for all of your reactions. 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326 for all of your reactions. Dean and Rocky Mount, will start off with you. Dean, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
So when I was going over what I want to talk about this week, sorry if my voice is a little bit raspy. I'm dealing with some private stuff right now.
Okay.
But when I was starting thinking about what I want to talk about with NC State basketball losing, me being an NC State football fan, and some of the things have gone in the transfer portal, I said, you know what? Let's talk about some of the good stuff. Let's talk about the good things in life. I'm excited for this baseball season. You've got a really deep pitching staff, and there are some questions that's on the bat side, but you still have some guys from last year. I think they'll figure it out with the bats. And the team's going to be really good. They came out with the D1 baseball poll today. NC State was a preseason number 13, and a lot of ACC teams in there as well, and a lot of teams from the state of North Carolina. But yes, I said, let's talk about some of the positive things. Also, tonight, NC State Wrestling has a top 5 matchup. So let's talk about some of the good things with NC State right now.
All right. I mean, I appreciate it. I like the what you're trying to do there. But I think even State fans would acknowledge that you would trade a lot of other sports victories for an awesome football and basketball season, right? Yeah. Don't know if we lost you there. Appreciate the call, though. Call back in anytime. I look at it that way, right? It's when football and basketball are not going well, all of a sudden everybody wants to talk about wrestling. And no disrespect to wrestling, and I know NC State seems very good, as you heard, a top 5 team. I'm just saying that if football and basketball were great, I don't think we'd get those calls. Most people have a hierarchy, a priority list of teams that their team could benefit, or if you had to choose which would be best. And I don't know if anything's ever going to be above football, and anything's ever going to be above men's basketball, women's basketball, right there. Heister Automotive Group hotline open for a Monday sound off, 919-860-5326. Your chance to drive the conversation, 919-860-5326. Call in now. Tom and Creedmoor, you are up next on a Monday sound off. Tom, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Hey, Tim, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Excited to hear what you have to say.
Tell me a little bit about this new defensive coordinator that State's got, and do you think we're going to see any different from what we saw under Kurt Rover than we did under Robert and I? And I was wondering if you have the State schedule for this year.
All right, I will take that question. A bunch of points. Thank you for calling in. I'll try to respond to them all. The defensive coordinator is DJ Elliott. He is for lack of a better term, a career defensive assistant, right? He's been a defensive coordinator at many places. He's been the defensive coordinator, I believe, at Duke. So he's bounced around a little bit. You will get something different than you got from Tony Gibson. Tony Gibson runs a very unique 3-3-5 system. This will be more traditional, which I think maybe bodes well as far as the transfer portal era, where guys don't have time to grow in a system. They'll be picked and plucked from here and there and tossed in. A little bit easier when you're not going into a unique system. Offensive coordinator, Robert and Nye going to Roper. There will be similarities, but I don't think that's the end of the world. I think you want to keep the same terminology. You want to keep the same kind of structure, because C.J. Bailey, your freshman quarterback this past year, looked really, really good, so you don't want to completely pull the rug out from under him and start over. What you hope is that Roper has better timing. You hope he has better creativity, better use of setting up plays and calling them, just a little bit better on the play calling front, more varied. And then what was the last one? Oh, the schedule. The schedule is out, kind of. You know the opponents for 2025. You don't know when. You know the first 3 or 4.
I know the first game of the year is East Carolina.
We knew that because
we do know that one, but we don't know if that's going to be like a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday. I don't think we've seen that yet.
According to FBschedules.com, it is a Saturday, August 30th, time to be determined. Saturday, September 6th will be Virginia, time to be determined, and Saturday, October 4th will be Campbell, time to be determined. Then there's a bunch of opponents without any rhyme or reason on when they will be. That's what you're looking at this year. Let's head back to the call-in line, which is open for all of your Monday sound-offs. If you want to vent, if you want questions, if you want to press us on something, 919-860-5326. It's the Heister Automotive Group hotline. This is the time of the week to call in, 919-860-5326. Vince and Raleigh, a lot of NC State sounding off happening to start this segment. Vince and Raleigh, you want to sound off on NC State? This is your time. Go ahead and take it over.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for taking my call. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot of sounding off on the State side because a lot of disappointed people. I was at the game. I must say, they still have the fans with them. The place was electric. The sound level was off the charts late in the second half. But I think, we're disappointed. But I will say something interesting. They've been seeking for an identity and who's their go-to person for a long time. And I think we identified that it's Hill, which is great to have at least who you want to have the ball if you need 2 points. And then the other side is I think they also can see that this fellow Dioff might be able to help them a little bit in the way that Diallo did last year. So those would be 2 takeaways from this game that might end up being somewhat positive. On the negative side, I think we have to figure something out. In the first half, as you guys said before, is very ugly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they missed at one point like 8 shots in a row. And that included at one point later in the first half, they missed 5 layups in a row. 5 layups in a row. So that's disappointing. I think that Kevin Keats has got to get him out there and just let's practice layups for half an hour.
old Mike and drills right under the bucket.
Yeah, the old-fashioned layup drill.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you're major college basketball. You got to make some layups. Yeah, there was some contested.
Hold on,
balls,
I want to press you on something you said because you brought up Dioff. What is it about him that makes you think there's some kind of higher potential? Because you brought his name up, and I went, yeah, I vaguely remember him in the game. Went back and looked up the stats. It's 8 minutes, 4 points, 0 of 1 from 3, hit a couple of free throws, no real other stats of note. What is it about him that you think has Mohamed Diarra potential?
Well, I don't think he's going to be as good as Diarra.
Yeah.
But I think that he can help in a way because when we run that 4 and it's Dante Styles, who I love, I think he's a very good player, a lot of energy, and he can block some shots really well. But he's smaller. And then it creates bad matchups. If Dioff comes in, he could throw the defense off and also pull therefore away from the basket. So, I think it did open things up. If you recall, in his time on the floor was when we started to turn things around. He had to come in because I forgot somebody had got another foul. But he came in, and all of a sudden we started to gel a little bit and hit some shots, and we were down fairly big at the time, either 7 or 9, and that started on the way toward the comeback. I think that he offers that opportunity, but at the same time, it's just it is that I think one of the blogs put it this way: if we were a good shooting team, we'd be a pretty good team. Unfortunately, we're not a good shooting team, so unfortunately, we're not a very good team.
I appreciate the
That's
call.
my observations, and I still say go Pack. And it was an electric game to attend. It was exciting.
I appreciate the call.
Thanks, Tim.
And I'm not saying this to knock the caller. I'm just saying there are about 100 teams in college basketball right now saying if we were a good shooting team, we'd be a really good team.
If we scored more, we'd be really good.
Football teams out there, if we're a better defensive team, we'd be a really good team. It's unfortunately not that easy, and sometimes it's very, very difficult to overcome not being a great shooting team. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is a Monday sound off. We have Jackson in Raleigh next up. Wants to sound off on the Panthers. A little offseason Panthers talk. Jackson, thank you for calling in. What do you have for us?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Love the show.
Thank you.
Just general thoughts on the Panthers ending the season, how they did. As a lifelong fan, I'm super pumped about, I guess, the future. But more so just is Bryce Young the quarterback of the future? And any thoughts on free agency / salary cap issues that we might face in the next year?
I will answer this. I do have a follow-up for you. When you say quarterback of the future, what is your definition of the quarterback of the future? Is it for next year, or is it like we're talking next 10 years?
Well, I'll say this. I've always been one that supported Bryce Young and thought that if we could get weapons and an offensive line around him, then he would be fine. So when I say future, I guess I'm meaning long-term, for the next 5 to 6 years minimum, maybe a couple playoff runs, something like that.
All right, appreciate the call. Call back in any time. That is a much more sticky question. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be the quarterback for 2025. The beauty of the way the way the NFL structures the rookie contracts is you don't really have to make a tough decision on a guy until after his 3rd year. Then you have to decide whether you're picking up his 5th-year option. Then he's eligible for a big money extension. I would advise that you go all in on a player until their 3rd year is over. Then you start making those decisions. So over the next 5 or 6 years, I don't know. And I don't want to sit up here and lie like I have a strong feeling either way. How he finished this year earned him 2025. How he plays in 2025 will determine beyond that. I'm not giving him the next 5 years of leash. I'm giving him next year with full and supreme confidence. Don't worry about your job. 12 games minimum you're going to start before we even start having hot seat conversation. So go out there and play. We have another Panthers caller, Isaiah in Wake Forest, on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, which is open for all your Monday sound-offs, portion of the week where we take all your calls. 919-860-5326. Call in if you have a take. Isaiah in Wake Forest, thank you for calling in. What do you want to say about the Panthers?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? I just wanted to say that what I think the Panthers should do over the offseason. And I think they need to, if they draft a wide receiver in the first round, in my opinion, they have wasted their first-round pick. I think they need to draft a edge rusher, preferably Abdul Carter. If they have to trade up a little bit, I would say they should. And if they have the money, I would trade for a wide receiver who's a free agent and pay him, maybe T. Higgins, maybe Garrett Wilson. I don't know. And also, I think they got to stop letting their defensive stars walk. They let Frankie Louvu leave, Utor Gross-Matos, Jeremy Chin. I feel like I just can't do that.
Okay, well, is this partially because you don't think there are great wide receivers in the draft, or because, say, Abdul Carter is taken, and I don't expect him to fall out of the top 5, and whether someone is selling or not is out of your hands. If he's not available, but somebody like McMillan from Arizona is, you don't think McMillan fills a role, and then he can go in free agency and get your edge rusher?
I think he's good. I do think he's a very, very good receiver, but I think there are better edge rushers in the draft than there are in free agency.
All right, appreciate the call. Call back in any time. I mean, that's all measured. Now you're just getting into opinion, right? That's whether you think there are great edge rushers in free agency or not, whether you think a wide receiver is worthy of the 8th overall pick or not. You're now just coming down to evaluations, which we can disagree on. To be honest, I've kind of dove into the film of McMillan a little bit. There's a decent amount of projection there. Obviously, he does some things unbelievably well, being 6'5", jump ball, one-handed catch guy. But he doesn't really run a true NFL wide open, everything's on the table route tree. And I'm not sure if the Panthers want to sign up for another project at wide receiver in the first round after Xavier Legette has come in and proven to be a lot of teaching necessary. As far as edge rushers go, though, outside of Abdul Carter, I think there's a drop-off there. So it's tough, right? It's tough, and you need to react. But I do think your big money free agent should be either a wide receiver or an edge rusher, and whichever one is not your big money free agent should be your first-round draft pick. That's kind of how you navigate, and which way you go is why Dan Morgan gets paid a lot of money. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Heister Automotive Group hotline still open for your calls, 919-860-5326. We have Daniel in Creedmoor. Wants to talk Freddie Anderson, the injured goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes. Daniel, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Yes, sir. I'm just wondering, should it be time to move off from Mr. Anderson? Because he's been hurt for pretty much every season I can remember. Came back from injury last year. Well, that was
blood clotting. Yep.
That craziness was, and he just didn't look sharp in the playoffs. So
here's the challenge. Here's the challenge, and I trust me, there are Canes fans everywhere that are nodding along with you. The challenge is, do you have somebody better to replace him? Right?
I mean, anybody that's not injured is usually better than somebody that is injured.
There's something to be said for that. It's hard, and I understand it. And thank you for the call. I'll do my best to kind of answer the question.
Yeah.
Yep, you too. The hard part is you've been this patient with him thus far. You've put up with it all. Do you give him one more run? If you can somehow get an elite goaltender, I don't think Freddie Anderson is the thing that's stopping you. It's like, oh, we can't go get the stud that's available on the open market because we have Freddie Anderson. I don't think that's been stopping you. So in the absence of bringing somebody in, do you have many options better than healthy Freddie Anderson? If you say no, all right, got you, but he's never healthy. I understand that, and it's why it's so frustrating. but are you going to win with somebody who's lesser than a healthy Freddie Anderson? Are you going to win with somebody that's lesser than a good Pyotr Kochetkov? Gosh, goalie is tough, if we're just being honest. Unless you have one of the handful of guys that you just know when his deal's up, you're going to pay him a bunch of money over 8 years and you're just going to let it rock. Unless you have one of those few guys. Man, it's tough to navigate.
Yeah, it's like, what's the alternative? Like, what are you getting?
It's firing a coach. It's benching a quarterback. It's moving on from a goalie. It's I hear why you want to do it. Do you have something better to put in that position? Because right now you're trotting out Tokarski every time there's a bunch of games in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. By the way, he had a shutout the other day, so
but he did.
That doesn't sound as bad right now as maybe it did a couple weeks ago. It's tough. I wish I had an answer for you. I wish I didn't have an answer for you. I wish Eric Dulski and the Canes had an answer for you, and they jumped all over it.
The Canes are having their name linked to like any goalie move in the NHL,
which is good, but also they kind of have been for the last like 2 or 3 years. I'm sure they're exploring all options. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. Whether they make the move is a completely other conversation. But I guarantee you they're aware of everybody who is and or may be available in the next couple months. Back to the call-in line on a Monday Soundoff. We have John in Raleigh wants to talk NC State. The number to call in if you have something you want to get off your chest, 919-860-5326. John in Raleigh, thank you for calling in. What do you have for us?
Hey, thanks for having the call-in line. First of all, I love hearing everyone's opinions a little while every now and then. First of all, 2 things on State, NC State. They played a hard game against Carolina. The crowd at times were almost as loud as sometimes at the Canes games. So that was kind of fun.
Absolutely.
To me, that game looked like 2 teams that really hustled, dove for balls, everything, but were very average in talent. And that takes me to my second point about NC State. You would think when we go to a Final Four, we lose 2 of our starting 5 and the other 3 return, we would be able to pick up a good big man and for sure a shooting guard or forward or 2. And I don't think we did either. And just want to hear your opinion.
All right, well, appreciate it. First of all, they lost more than 2 starters. DJ Burns, DJ Horn, Mohamed Diarra, Casey Morsell. That's, depending on the time of the year, 3 or 4 starters, and more so even than that. So they lost a bunch. What I will say is I am having a hard time moving on from the idea that making it to a Final Four should be the best possible recruiting tool in the history of the world. But I'm going to take you back to a conversation, ironically, because you mentioned how awesome Canes games are, a conversation we had with Kevin Keats outside of a Canes postseason game.
Yeah.
He was showing up to buy some gear at the team store. He was walking by. We were there setting up for on air for a on-site broadcast. And we said, Coach, come on. And one of the things I said was, you just finished the Final Four. How much recruiting are you the buzz? Is it awesome? And his response was something along the lines of yeah, no, most guys just want to talk NIL at this point.
You get more people to answer the phone, but they still want to talk cash.
So it's the final 15, 20 years ago, Final Four might have been, all right, we're going to have our best recruiting class in history next year. Now it's, all right, they're going to answer our phone, but they're still asking the same questions. So it may not be a direct line from Final Four to awesome guys coming into your program like you think it might be. We have to run through a bunch of these here at the top of the hour. We have Tyler in Raleigh wants to talk Bill Belichick, UNC head football coach. Tyler, thank you for calling in. What do you want to say about Billy B?
What's up, Tim? I just wanted to compliment you, actually, for the way that you talked about it from the start. I don't know if you remember, but I was one of the fans that did not want Mac Brown to be gone because I did not think there was a better option out there. It's kind of like we were just talking about Freddie Anderson, like, what are we going to do? And honestly, if they would have hired Bill Belichick the same day that Mac got hired and sent Mac on out the door, this is the best offseason in modern Carolina football history, best moment in modern Carolina football history, and we haven't even played a game. And that was your tone from the very beginning. You do whatever it takes to make sure this happens. And I'm sure you weren't the only one, but you were the only one that I heard that kind of echoed that same sentiment that I had.
Well, Tyler, thank you for being a loyal listener and enjoy it, right? If you're a Tar Heel football fan, enjoy being the center of the college football universe. It is, and I'm not saying this, and let me take a step back. I said this from the beginning. It's not 100% going to work, but the ceiling is high enough with Bill Belichick, you had to take the swing. And he's all in, right? There's another report today that maybe the Cowboys would have been interested if Bill Belichick hadn't already committed to UNC. It seems like he's all in on the Tar Heels, so like I said, enjoy that run. Neil in Chapel Hill wants to talk CFP, so we'll take his call. Neil, thank you for calling in. What do you want to sound off on?
Thank you, Tim. I'm going back to the January 1st game when Texas beat Arizona State, and then your following show the next day, and agreeing with you, Arizona State was outclassed, but they didn't play good, but they did have some bad calls in that game. And one you referred to was I think I got this right, the field goal that was partially blocked.
Oh, yes, the bouncing field goal.
Right, and I can't remember it was good or not good. What did we say on that?
So it was not even like, I don't think anyone knew the rule on that. It was partially blocked, it bounced in the end zone and went through the uprights, and nobody even batted an eye. But then that night, somebody looked up the rule book and found that should count as a made field goal, and nobody knew. And then obviously it ended up coming down to overtime, so it could have been the difference.
Tim, as a former 31-year-old official, that is, whoever read that rule book is entirely 101% wrong. A ball cannot hit the ground and go through the uprights and count as a field goal. And then you mentioned something which my fraternity of referees said. You said even the referee didn't know that. Well, let me tell you, if you're in a playoff game, you are at the top of your class. And they called it right, and I just wanted to let you know, and I really enjoy your show.
All right, I appreciate that very much. If you don't mind, sit on the line, though, and have Dennis get like an email address or something, because I do remember reading an actual copy of the rule book, so I want to pass some stuff on. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'll put my hand up.
No. That I would love to stay on the line, and I just wanted to mention that so that all the fans, great fans in this conference and everything would understand that, but I will certainly love to see what you saw.
All right, appreciate it. Stay on the line. Like I said, we'll grab an email address from you. Last one here before the top of the hour. I want to get the final caller on. We have Jesse in Apex, wants to sound off somehow, say something on Rod Brindamore, the head coach of the Canes. So, Jesse, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Hey, Tim. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how Rod I understand he was a great player and it helped us win a cup, but as a coach, I think signing him to an extension was the wrong play.
Really?
Changing up the lines this year, I don't see any chemistry. Me and my wife are season ticket holders who go to every game. I'm just not seeing the locker room love anymore.
So you – all right, and again, I have to ask this question because it's become a theme of our call-ins. You think there's a better option out there to replace him with?
I would say so. I mean, if you look at Laviolette and some other coaches around the league, I know the Rangers are struggling, but he's even got that locker room back.
All right. I mean, I respect your opinion. I do disagree. I think Rod is an unbelievable coach, but there is. It's only going to come more and more and more with time. If you don't get over that final hump, people are going to start asking questions. Appreciate the call. Call back in anytime. Gosh, that is It's going to happen. That's the only way I'm going to say it. It's going to happen, right? If you are a team that routinely kind of finds a glass ceiling in the postseason, those conversations are going to be had, whether I think they're warranted and accurate or not. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, here's our very own Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here for ESPN Bet Sportsbook. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks. Check out trending parlays and increase your winnings with profit boosts. New customers can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. And unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We're going to take a break, but we have so much to get to, including a little football at 4. What does Mike Vrabel mean for UNC Great quarterback, number 3 overall draft pick Drake May and the New England Patriots. Coming up.
The Adam Gold Show.
Look, I love the fact that the Tar Heels have won their last 2 games. Here's what I am worried about, though. They're doing it without being able to rebound the ball on the offensive end. They have to get second chance points. That's what their offense has been built on forever. Since I have been alive, they have lived on the offensive glass. This team can't do it. They just don't have enough size.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Sound Station and Security, your automotive and audio experts. Car audio, car video, home theater, wheels and tires, and so much more. Plus, did you know Sound Station and Security offers full service for your vehicle? Alignments, inspection, oil changes, window tinting, and custom exhaust. And with a variety of financing options, Sound Station and Security can help you get what you need today. 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Sound Station and Security. Visit myhotsound.com.
Hello, I'm John Heister for John Heister Chevrolet in Fuquay Arena. And you know, people are asking us, how are you selling so many cars all of a sudden? Well, did you know that the Beltline has opened up the outer loop? We're only 28 minutes from Knightdale. We're only 19 minutes from Clayton and 15 minutes from Apex. We're now the most convenient Chevrolet dealership to reach in the Triangle. And the best part is, you don't have to traverse the inner city traffic. It's just one more reason to get off your keister and come to Heister.
Together, let's drive.
Something amazing is happening in networking. Organizations are scaling with less stress. That's because CDW is designing and implementing intelligent HPE Aruba networking solutions that simplify and secure operations. With automation at the center of your data center, growing pains can be a thing of the past. HPE Aruba Networking and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Aruba.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. A milder afternoon, high temperature in the low 50s under mostly sunny skies, but another cold night tonight. We dip down into the mid-20s. It'll be clear, and we'll see lots of sunshine tomorrow with highs in the mid-40s.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 358 points to 42,297.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. You know, I'm putting my hand up. Shout out to that caller. And I'm not going to reveal the name, but I did search for where I found that the rule book on bouncing field goals.
Yeah.
Again, I won't say the name because I think it was an honest mistake, but there was a national reporter that tweeted it out who then had to retract it and say, sorry, a fan posted a AI-created rule book.
Ha!
So it was Dan Wolken of USA Today who fact-checked the other journalist and put the real. So yeah, the Arizona State field goal should not have counted. Now I'm obviously hand up because I didn't go find the rule book myself, which is why I'm doing it. But it was posted by somebody who I think I should be able to trust. Won't name names. Funny deal though. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Shout out to the caller. They said they were a referee. Refs know their stuff. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's jump to football at 4. Mike Vrabel, hired by New England. This is good for the Patriots. I think he's a good coach. Let's just call a spade a spade. I think he's a good coach. I think they will win more under Mike Vrabel than they would under darn near any other coach they could have hired this hiring cycle. I'm not sure if it's the best for Drake May, though. Right, UNC fans that just want Drake May to make $700 million so he can turn around and give $50 to the NIL for the Tar Heels. I'm not sure it's the best for Drake May. And here's why. He's a defensive-minded head coach. Longtime linebacker. I know he had 10 receiving touchdowns, but he is a defensive player. He is a defensive-minded guy. I mean, everything about him screams like, hey, defensive football. He's definitely a guy that wears short sleeves and shorts when it's cold out. He's just a defensive guy. Which means the offensive coordinator will be a massively important hire for Drake May. And here's why I say I'm not sure it's great for Drake. If things go well, they'll have to have a massively important offensive coordinator hire again in a couple years, which isn't necessarily great. Think about it like this. I'm not even going to say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had a great offense the past few years. But Dave Canales there for a year, takes a head coaching job. Liam Cohen there for a year. We're talking offensive coordinators. Now he has head coaching interviews, requests all over the place this offseason. He might be gone. That's not easy for somebody like Baker Mayfield to just continuously have a different voice in your headset. Now, Baker Mayfield has the benefit of he's already played for a billion teams. He's already played for a billion coordinators. He knows different systems. He knows different terminology. He knows different everything. Drake is still trying to establish himself in the league. I wish you could hitch a guy to a coordinator for 5 years at least. Meanwhile, if whoever they hire a coordinator makes Drake May look good, that's good for Drake May, but probably too good for the coordinator. So now the coordinator is going to be off head coaching somewhere else. Now, that's not to say it's all bad, right? Because Mike Vrabel took the job. He obviously is a fan of Drake. You don't take the Patriots job unless you think you can win with that guy. During his introductory press conference, he was asked what he's going to do to help Drake May.
Put great people around him. You know, I would say that my involvement will be as it relates to game management and situational awareness. And where we are on the football field and trying to develop him as a leader of the offense. And when a quarterback, you know, when they call the play, like you want to say like everybody's going to believe that it's going to score a touchdown, like with that type of emphasis on how everything is going to operate. And, you know, Drake is going to be his own person, but I'm going to give him some things that I feel like are necessary to help us win football games. We have to be a very efficient passing football team, right? And when you look at statistically of what wins in the National Football League, our ability to affect the other team's quarterback and our ability to provide for an efficient quarterback and passing game is a high contributor to success. And there's a lot of ways to do that by protecting the middle of the pocket and all those things that we're going to talk about as we move forward.
I want to focus on that first part, by putting great people around him. The best news for Drake May with Mike Vrabel taking over New England is I believe he has firsthand experience, and he's learned the lesson both the easy way and the hard way, that the best way to make a quarterback look good is to give him talented weapons. Right? Things like making Ryan Tannehill look really, really good as a quarterback. How'd you do it? Well, Derrick Henry was a big part of that. Things like your career was on the up and up. You were first seed. You were in AFC championship game. Oh, look how everyone loves you in Tennessee. And then they traded A.J. Brown, and a couple years later you lost your job. Mm-hmm. So what do you think he's going to do when he's trying to help Drake May? Get a running game going? What do you think he's going to do when he's trying to help Drake May? Go find a number one wide receiver? And throw even bigger of a hissy fit if they want to trade away that number one wide receiver? Because if you remember, publicly it was known he was not happy when they traded A.J. Brown. So that is all good for Drake. You have a guy that's watched it be messed up, and he's not going to make the same mistake twice. Matter of fact, Mike Vrabel looks like and sounds like the type of guy who will openly scream, I messed this up last time. I'm not going to do it again. That's good news for Drake. Now it becomes you got to put everything else around him, meaning you got to get a great defense. You got to put together a great support staff. The Patriots are a long way from winning anything of significance just based on so many things adding up. Even if you think Drake is already to the point, and I don't know if he's there yet, but I think he can be in the next handful of years, even if you think he's a quarterback that can drag an offense to productivity. I mean, look at what Joe Burrow did this year. If the defense is giving up 1 billion points, no matter how good your quarterback is, you're not going to achieve anything of meaning. Vrabel was asked why the job was so attractive.
Well, I think that the ability to have open dialogue with Robert and Jonathan was something that was critical. Elliott and his staff, obviously what I believe and what everybody else believes is a young, dynamic quarterback. We have some youth on the roster. We have some veteran players that have kind of seen both sides of it and understand, and that will help me and will help our players, get back to that success and understand how hard it is.
I read a bunch of articles about Mike Vrabel over the weekend. I listened to a couple former players post videos about Mike Vrabel getting the job. I had a couple conversations with people about why or who might work in New England and why Mike Vrabel is one of the only guys kind of from that Belichick tree that has worked. And here's the best possible explanation I have, and it's the reason why I think it's good for New England. You just need to be able to pull it off. And it's a charisma thing. It's maybe the fact that he had a all-pro as a player thing. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Mike Vrabel when he screams, do your job at you. It's going to hit different than when Joe Judge does it, or Eric Mangini does it, or Josh McDaniels does it. You just have to be able to pull it off. Right, and I don't know if this is the best possible kind of cross analogy, but there's a lot of stand-up comedians that have made this a bit, right? The difference between creepy and suave is whether she likes you, right? If somebody that a girl likes shows up on her doorstep with flowers uninvited, if somebody that she doesn't like shows up on her doorstep with flowers uninvited, creep. I think that's kind of the difference between Joe Judge and Mike Vrabel, right? If you can pull it off, going, we have to sacrifice, and right, it's football over family, it's do your job, it's nobody, I'm going to be tough on my hardest players. If you can pull it off, well, that's how you build a winner. If you can't, you just seem like a hardo up there that nobody's going to walk behind. And the difference is really just, can you pull it off or not? The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I think he can. I think it's good for the Patriots. I'm not sure 5 years from now Drake May is not going to be, 2 offensive coordinators in, which will be 3 in his career, 3 in 5 years, and you start getting a little confused when that happens. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have our ladder challenge coming up. I hit over the weekend. Dennis, did you? All right, we're both cashing next picks in our ladder challenge. Next.
Move your sports day forward.
For as much as we've lamented the fact that it's like every time you turn a Duke game on or you hear people talk about Duke, whenever it happens to happen, we do talk about the Blue Devils because, we're a local show. We talk about State and Carolina. But when you talk about Duke, you have to talk about Cooper Flagg first. It pretty much has to be the first thing out of your mouth.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The new year is here. Time for change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
It's bow time. A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
What's this?
We're expanding the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club.
That's a pretty big wrecking ball.
Well, with all these new scratch-offs, this place is going to be packed with new winners. Okay, let's go ahead and knock this wall down. This is where we're putting the polo field. Whoa, patience, Trixie.
This month's tickets are loaded with $150 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 3.31 to 4.55. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending and Cary. Way back in the mid to late 80s, rates were all over the map, much as they are today. And what bothered me the most was seeing homeowners constantly chasing lower rates by paying upwards of $15,000 in closing costs each time. There had to be a better way, considering no one was keeping their new loan long enough to truly benefit. So it was during that time that Miller Lending discovered a way to offer a true no-closing cost loan. With nothing charged or rolled in, customers were now able to realize immediate savings as even a drop of 0.5% could save them thousands of dollars over the life of a new loan. Imagine eliminating the need for timing as you simply close on today's rates and refinance as soon as something better comes along. Fact is, Miller Lending hates closing costs. So before you throw away thousands of dollars chasing a rate you may not like a year from now, pick up the phone and call Miller Lending today, 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 1/13 through 1/15. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
Taylor going to drive hard against Cadeau. His shot blocked by Jalen Washington. Into the hands. Washington has it. That's it.
Wow.
The horn sounds. Jalen Washington with a double-double and the game-sealing block.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That was the sound of UNC holding on to beat NC State men's basketball. State the home team in that one. And we will get to that game. But first, we have a rivalry that is almost as fierce. It is me versus Dennis in the ladder challenge. It's also me versus trying to gamble on hockey in the ladder challenge. It's actually, you know what every single member of a rivalry says? If one side wins every time, is it really a rivalry? That's me versus hockey gambling.
Yeah, I mean, not for the purposes of this. I gotta teach you those ways.
I'm like I said, I think with hockey, because I win more often than I lose, but I think I just need to. It's like, got to be a wide sample set. I got to bet like 100 times. Betting one, it doesn't make it happen for me. Much better at football, as proven over the weekend. I had Lamar Jackson 25 or more rushing yards versus the Steelers as part of our ladder challenge.
Yeah, that took like a play.
Yeah. I mean, they had one drive where they went 13 plays, 90-something yards, and didn't attempt to pass. So the overhit, he had 81. It's a likely to win bet, by the way. For those of you that know the ladder challenge, you know how it works. We roll over all the winnings. Compound interest is the idea, right? You only got to make a couple of dollars and a couple more dollars. If you get a bunch in a row correct by the end of the month, you have a nice little chunk of change. I'm up to $13.61 because I had to start over after losing a hockey bet. Dennis, what are you up to?
I'm up to $20 even.
Look at that. How'd it go over the weekend? I assume there was a shots on goal and they shot it.
Let's see. There actually, for me, my last bet was Utah Hockey Cup plus 1.5 goals taking on the San Jose Sharks. They won 2-1. So that was
you
easy.
you had goals to spare.
I did. Which is where I'm going to go with on this one today.
No surprise.
The Florida Panthers taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Florida is pretty good. They're probably going to want a little bit of revenge for their overtime loss yesterday to the Boston Bruins. I'm sorry that happened over the weekend. So nonetheless, give me the Florida Panthers on the road plus 2.5 goals at the Philadelphia Flyers at minus 825. That $20 is going to convert into $22.40.
I am looking towards football because
you do know
it works. It seems to work more. I'm going Justin Jefferson tonight for the Vikings against the Rams. That is being played in Arizona due to the fires. Justin Jefferson, 50 or more receiving yards. It's minus 650. It'll hopefully turn my 1361 into 1570. Talking dollars there. Justin Jefferson has one career playoff game. It's kind of crazy. It just seems like he's been around enough and he's been so good that he should have been in more. He has one career playoff game. It was back in 2022, and he didn't play that well. 47 yards on 7 catches. Do you think a guy that competitive has been letting that eat away at him, chew away at him for the last few years, and with a lot of angry, like while doing squats or while running routes to be like not going to happen again? I think he probably did. I bet he has a big game, win or lose for the Vikings, which I think is important. If they win, I think it'll be because he has a big game. If they lose, they'll be chasing and he'll have a big game. 50 or more receiving yards for Justin Jefferson. It's minus 650. I think he hits that fairly easily. Could be another one that hits in the first 2 drives, if we're being honest here.
Might hit on one play.
Could easily hit on one play.
Let's call it what it is.
There was one point, I think it was a Thursday night game. I picked Jamar Chase to go over 50 receiving yards, and he had like 275 against the Ravens, including 3 individual plays that would have hit it. So hopefully I get one of those. Just real easy stuff. So there you go. We'll see who wins at the end of the month. I am trailing, but a lot of gambling to be done before the end of January. That is the ladder challenge here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Now it's time to fire up the podium. It's a 1-week award. We look at the 4 teams in the ACC from the state of North Carolina who had the best week. This point in time of the calendar year, we are looking towards the men's basketball teams to represent their school and earn their way up the podium. As always, there's a gold, a silver, a bronze, and an off the podium. because everybody doesn't get a trophy. And we'll start there. Off the podium for the past week, NC State. Lost a rivalry game to UNC at home, 63-61. That's not great right there. And prior to, the only game they had that they won was a 1-point win against Notre Dame that they had to hang on and squeak it out. And Notre Dame is a bottom third of the ACC team. Not to say through this point NC State isn't, but you're in the Final Four last year. There's a certain amount of experience that you should be able to win those games by more than, the whiskers on your chinny chin chin. And then you lose to UNC, which allows the trash talk to happen. You get angry, but you really shouldn't because the winners get the trash talk. It's kind of how it goes. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but discombobbled, disjointed. NC State still looks helter-skelter, befuddled at times. And none of these are words that you want to describe your basketball team. They're off the podium. Bronze medal, Wake Forest. Wake Forest is casually just putting up a run towards like top 4 or 5 teams in the ACC.
Look at you getting road wins in conference, something you didn't do last year.
Double-digit road win at Miami.
Let's go.
Do you know what was more exciting about it?
What's that?
Hunter Salas had 22 points. Now,
okay.
Hunter Salas, preseason All-ACC candidate, right? Professional level scorer, as I say. Probably, I could see getting drafted if he continues scoring.
Yeah.
Cameron Hildreth had 31.
Okay, Cameron.
Hunter Salas put up 22, I think it was, as I just said. And he was the second leading scorer for Wake Forest. 31 points, 6 of 8 from 3 for Cameron Hildreth.
That's got to be nice for any team. Yeah, this guy at 22 wasn't even the leading scorer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, he must have done pretty well.
Is it possible to put up a quiet 31 in an ACC road game? Because I have to be honest, did not watch the Wake Forest-Miami game, not live, but I did take note of like, hey, I should go check, see how it goes, watch the condensed game. And I was like, wait a minute. He had 31? Nobody's talking about it? Shout out to Hildreth. A quiet 31 in a road victory over Miami for Wake Forest. Steve Forbes has that team playing well. They're doing some things. They might end up a top 4 or 5 team in the ACC. Maybe better, right? Because it's not like the 2, 3, 4 teams are lighting it up in the ACC. Louisville's doing well, but I don't think they're unbeatable by any stretch. Shout out to the Demon Deacons. Silver, UNC. This is a two-parter. Now, they played 2 games. They won both. That's the most important part. But the two-parter comes here against SMU, which was their first win of the week. It's as good as they've looked in a long time. 82-67. R.J. Davis scored a bunch, but I think it was because Ian Jackson was being the gravitational pull. Drake Powell had a big game. Like, that was as good as they have looked in a long time. Second part, they beat NC State. Now, the SMU game, I could go into a whole bunch of different details about why UNC was so good. I think UNC would like me to go into as few details as possible against NC State. Just mention we won, mention it was a rivalry game, mention it was on the road, and cut it there. Just get on to the next. It's a two-parter, right? Either way, they're both wins. Any rivalry win is going to feel fantastic, right? Any rivalry win, I turned into Elmer Fudd there for a second. Any rivalry win is going to boost you a little bit. I think that NC State game left a lot to be desired. I thought the SMU game was a more complete game from UNC. But either way, 2 wins, including a rivalry and one of your best showings of the year, that's going to get you a silver medal often enough. And then gold, Duke beat Pitt by a boatload, held them to 47 points, and then beat Notre Dame.
So many choices on Booking.com.
Sorry.
With so many choices.
Yeah, so many choices. We chose Duke.
They beat Notre Dame at home 86-78. Cooper Flagg had 42 in that game. It is a freshman ACC record, obviously a Duke freshman record. He did it on 14 shots. There's something that happens in the triangle, and everybody that's in media knows it, which is if there is a week, if there is a year, if there is a season where one of the teams in the triangle is well above the other teams in the triangle, you're going to be accused of being a homer for whatever team that is, right? Because if you call it like you see it, you're going to quite often praise one team and not the others, right? Because you praise the good and not the bad. When they're both really good, or they're both top 10 teams, or all three of them are top 10 teams, right? Whichever combo, then you seem really objective because you're praising both or you're criticizing both, or all three, right? Depending on what the conversation is. This is a year where I'm preparing to be accused of being a Duke homer because they're better, because they're proving it on the floor each and every night. The funny part is, on Saturday, after the Duke game, it was. I'm gonna go ahead and find it here. I think it was a reply, so it's gonna be more difficult to find. Somebody, actually, it was me and Adam. It was the whole thing. I'm sure everybody's just going to talk about Cooper Flagg. And I responded with something along the lines of, actually, here it is. What is Paul Feinbaum going to laud about the SEC this week? This comes from Steve on Twitter. We already know Adam and Tim will genuflect to the Flagg god and totally ignore the state loss at home to Carolina. First, we started the show with the state loss to Carolina. And also, Saturday was a really tough day to act like Cooper Flagg praise is unearned and anything but calling it like you see it.
Yeah.
They got 42 points on 14 shots.
Yeah, ACC freshman record. How many great players have come through the ACC and have put up bonkers freshman seasons? Great games. This guy outdid them all.
I'm fine with saying, like, I do praise Cooper Flagg a lot. Not because I'm like, I'm trying to push any narrative. It's because I watched the games. And you could take away the jersey numbers and make them silhouettes. And I would walk away going, whoever that is really good. And Saturday was another example of that. It's actually confirming that I should feel okay with the praise of Cooper Flagg. They get the gold medal. Also, the win against Pitt was their defensive superiority.
Yeah, Pitt didn't score the last 7 minutes and 59 seconds of the entire game.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd. There actually were some things in the game against Notre Dame that I would have liked to have seen. I think other than Cooper Flagg, there was some to be desired. Really liked what Kamen Malawash did. But when your defense is as good as it is, run them off the three-point line for a second, would you? They shot like 60% from three. Notre Dame did. You have enough rim protectors that you shouldn't worry about getting beat as much as some other teams should, right? So close out, run them off the three-point line, make them drive. Cooper Flagg or Kamen Malawash will be waiting for you back there. So there's some things that we could criticize them on, and we will. Just not right now. Because right now, NC State lost to UNC at home. How you like that, Steve? Let's jump into it. It's a loss for NC State at home against UNC. And at the end of the game, we find ourselves asking the same question. What's your identity? Who is your guy? When the chips are down, what does everybody know is the move? I mentioned this. Marcus Hill, Dennis brought up, started him off hot, right? Scored a bunch of points early. He also scored their last 3 buckets. Marcus Hill scored your last 6 points, jumper, couple of tough buckets. He scores your last 6. Now, if this is a team with multiple kind of go-to scores, which is what it's been sold to me as, right? They don't have any one superstar. They have 3 or 4 guys that can all score, can all get their own. It's Styles, it's Jaden Taylor, it's Marcus Hill. Sometimes it's Middlebrooks, it's this guy, it's that guy, it's the other guy. And they go with the hot hand, right? In an end-of-game situation, you'll go with the hot hand. If somebody has scored your last 6 points, there's the hot hand. So guess what happens? Marcus Hill scores the last 6 points, last 3 buckets. Jaden Taylor gets the ISO, beat your man, driving layup that was blocked by Washington that would have tied it if you got it up on the rim and it went in. That's not a hot hand approach. That's not, and it goes back to what we've been talking about with this team over and over and over, which is trust. When we talked with Casey Morsell on my the podcast that I co-host with him, Pack Therapy, the podcast, Casey Morsell, former NC State point guard, he talked about if he were to draw up kind of the lead of that offense, he said it would be Marcus Hill. And the reason why he said that was Marcus Hill is a driver. So if he drives to the bucket, people collapse, he can pass it to the open players, right? So it's like he's the lead guy, but it's not necessarily he's going to be creating his own shot all the time. That sounds like exactly what I would have wanted to happen with about 6 seconds on the clock when you have a chance to tie it. Drive, if you can get all the way to the rim, you scored our last 6 points. I'm thinking as a NC State player, you've scored our last 6 points. I would like your ability to finish if you can get to the rim. If you can't, kick it out. Shooters, right? If it's Michael O'Connell, we've seen him hit clutch shots. If it's Dontrez Styles, we know that when they're playing their best, he's hitting threes. And if you kick it to Jaden Taylor, there is still probably, right, 3-4 seconds left, so he can attack a closeout or pull up for his own jumper. But that takes a certain level of trust, right? Giving the ball to someone else, knowing that if you're the best shot, you'll get it back, takes a certain level of trust. I don't know if they have that yet. They need to trust that the right play will be made. And if you don't trust that, you're just going to get your hands on the ball and take it into your own hands and do all of the things that scorers do when they're pressing. Now, right, Kevin Keats will play here. He was a little disappointed the final shot wasn't reviewed for goaltending, which, yeah, I guess it's a legitimate conversation to have. Here's Kevin Keats.
Let me get this out of the way. I'm a little disappointed at the end of the game that they didn't at least review it. I mean, we've had probably 3 or 4 goaltendings in the game, and I thought before the referees would run off the floor, they would review it. So that's my disappointment.
I hear that, and I like that he said, like, let's get this out of the way because then you can get to the basketball conversation. I don't like the possession. And if that's a goaltend, I think you got bailed out of a possession that's not the best way to execute it. Now, in a competitive world, if you're going to get bailed out, fight for it, right? If the refs call it, like, or they don't call it, you think they should have that conversation. But it's I think there's bigger problems there. And Kevin Keats was asked what they were trying to get on that final play, and this was his answer.
Oh, no, we were running our push action where we were trying to get a ball screen into a roll replace. Cadeau did a really good job pushing Michael to his left and not letting him get to the ball screen. And obviously once we got off the ball screen, we moved it into a ghost, and JT had a great drive and obviously it didn't go down.
That's the goal. That's the goal. I don't know if anyone was 100% all in on the way they executed down the stretch, which is a bummer because despite so much of the what I call discombobulated, disjointed, despite so much of that feeling, you were still in the game at the end. And you still could have stolen a win from the jaws of defeat. It all comes down to this. And I don't blame, like, this isn't a knock on a coach. This isn't a knock on anything. But they still have not found the best way to use that roster. And to me, that was the difference. You can find 2 points in so many places. Right? One more person embracing their role as a rebounder, getting a second chance point. One more bit of trust so you pass up a good shot for a great shot. One more anything, and you can find 2 points. So many possessions for State end with, like, that was awkward. Right? They're jogging back on defense, and I'm going, like, that can't be what they wanted. So many possessions end with that. And by the way, every team, it's college basketball, right? These aren't the like peak Curry Thompson Warriors. Everyone's not going to be a work of art. It's not the dynasty Spurs with all their passing and everything else. It's not that. So every team is going to have a few like, that was awkward. But the less of those you have, the better. And right now, State just has too many of them. And the way that you limit those is by playing together a lot, having high basketball IQs, being where your teammates expect you to be. They don't turn the ball over often. Matter of fact, as of whatever it was last week, and I haven't updated the stats since the game was over the weekend, but they were the best team in the ACC as far as fewest turnovers per game. I actually think that's because they do some like double and triple checking. Right? It's not because, hey, I always know where my guys are and I can throw it to them and we can be safe. It's a lot of like, all right, he's there. Okay, I'm looking. All right, can I make the pass? All right, pivot, pump fake. Here you go. It's a slow, methodical deal. You need to get to the point where it's more reaction. It's more instinct. Like I said, the good news, if there is some, is that despite all of that, and UNC doesn't have as much of that. I think they're figuring out their roles or have figured them out a little bit better up to this point. It was still close down to the end. And we opened up the phone lines earlier today for a Monday Soundoff. 3 or 4, and I felt like more than that, callers mentioned that the atmosphere was electric. Like you had everything going your way as far as, sticking close. You just weren't able to finish it down the stretch. And then you get into the rivalry of it, right? Washington gesturing towards the sideline, and you want to get mad, but the whole other thing is if you don't want them to celebrate, stop them, and on and on and on and on. Looking at your schedule, and gosh, this is very similar to last year. Looking at your schedule, I mean, I don't know if there's anything other than undefeated the rest of the way that gets you an at-large bid. Maybe one loss, but it can't be to Duke because you need that game to be your resume booster. So from this point forward, it's very similar to last year in that you got to win the ACC championship, so do whatever it takes to get there. And I know last year looked fun, but to put yourself in that situation, it's not the best strategy, but you're right back there. Virginia Tech on Wednesday, next up for NC State. Then you're Cal and SMU at home.
Yeah, you got about, 14, 15 regular season games left?
Let me see. Around there.
Yeah, so around that. And you have, like you mentioned, still have one game against Duke. That's at Cameron. You're at Carolina. You still have Clemson
still have
as
Louisville.
well. That's a home game. That's Louisville at home.
Pittsburgh at home. Like you
also have Wake at home as well. Like these are ones you got to have.
If there are trophy fish in the ACC, you have all of those opportunities. But the flip side of that is, you lost to Virginia, right? You lost to BYU. You got kind of rolled by Wake Forest. You've now lost to North Carolina. You're going to play better basketball. I do think there is better basketball within your roster somewhere, but you got to figure out the way to use it. And you haven't done it yet. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Duke wins. Flagg goes bananas. What does that mean for the future of Duke? But before we get to that, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here, my friends over at Loan Pronto. Homeowners, it's time to start fresh in 2025. Loan Pronto is here to help you take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payment and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. Lock in a lower rate and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and it's hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate instantly with your Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. What does Cooper Flagg's record-breaking performance do for Duke? Next.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
The Green Bay Packers simply couldn't beat the elite talent in the NFC. They were winless against the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and now the Eagles. Lost 2 games to both of those teams. They were good. They were not good enough. That, to me, is the story of the Green Bay Packers this season. So it was a good season, not a great one.
unsportsmanlike.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
To understand what makes Diamonds Direct so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back 60 years, when a diamond cutter became well known for his exceptional craftsmanship. His diamond cutting business flourished for decades. Then his sons got involved and started selling these exceptional diamonds to upscale jewelry stores here in America. After a few years, these wholesalers decided to change the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices they had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success, and Diamonds Direct was born. Today, Diamonds Direct provides that extraordinary value to people all over America, offered at the guaranteed best prices, period. Diamonds Direct, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history, rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Official jeweler of the Carolina Hurricanes and proud sponsor of NC State Athletics, and proud to call the Triangle home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. And see why? It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Available in app only. T&Cs apply.
Is your plumbing outdated or just not getting the job done? Call Newcomb & Company to see how we can help get your home operating at peak performance. Our experienced plumbers can repair or replace faucets, toilets, piping, garbage disposals, water heaters, drain cleaning, and more. Become a Comfort Contract customer to receive priority service and a 15% discount on service calls and repairs. Turn to the experts today. Call 919-862-3000 or find us at newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company. Your comfort is our business.
Soundstation and Security, your automotive and audio experts. Car audio, car video, home theater, wheels and tires, and so much more. Plus, did you know Soundstation and Security offers full service for your vehicle? Alignments, inspection, oil changes, window tinting, and custom exhaust. And with a variety of financing options, Soundstation and Security can help you get what you need today. 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Soundstation and Security. Visit myhotsound.com.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. 2025 needs to start clean. Get all that dirt from 2024 out of your carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your house, because in 2025, we're starting Zero Resified. Biggest sale of the year. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, starting at just $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning while you're at it. Offer is open through January 31st, so visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000.
Cooper on the baseline, turns around, he's got the record! 36 for Cooper Flagg!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I spent all last week saying that Cooper Flagg could be the best player on the floor for Duke, and he didn't have to score a ton. That was the week. That was the point I tried to make. I pointed out that he was like 87th in the country in scoring, but you watch a game and you come away impressed with him. So he took the next game he played as the time to break the ACC freshman single game scoring record. So I guess maybe he doesn't need to score a bunch to show how good he is, but he can do that also. Should have been the way I phrased it all last week. John Shires, head coach, on the scoring barrage coming at the right time.
More than that, I thought it was just his timing of key plays. You know, anytime we needed a basket, he came through, and just the will throughout. He just willed us. And so the fact that it translated to 42 was great, but to me it was just his competitiveness and the timing of his key plays.
Do you know what I really liked from John Shire? The tech. He got a technical.
Yeah, he did.
And
earned that one.
Well, he earned it, but also it was not the best game for Duke. There's no business Notre Dame has scoring that many points against Duke. Now, it didn't appear as if that was the story, and no one's really bashing them for it, when I think there should be some bashing because of what Cooper Flagg did, and it overshadowed everything, and that's going to be the talking point. But I like that Shire looked around and said, ooh, we are not as up as we could be. We are not as rowdy as we could be. We are not as locked in as we could be. And then he saw a foul that he didn't think should be a foul, and he went out there all crazy, and he got the tech. I think that's kind of next step for Jon Scheyer a bit here. I think that's next step for Jon Scheyer. And, of course, who was he defending? Cooper Flagg. So there's going to be that little, oh, nobody touches my precious little boy. Like, I get that. But it worked, right? You went out defending a player. He had 42 points on 14 shots. 16 of 17 from the line, by the way. So if any working of the officials did take place, sent a guy to the line 17 times.
Flagg drew 13 fouls.
I think most of them were well earned. Like he was not necessarily initiating the contact, but he was drawing the contact. I think it was well earned. The other thing that happened, and it's what I think led to the big efficient game, that's what happens when he shoots the three well early. Right? He had like 3 quick threes right out the gate, finished 4 of 6. Then the opposing team has to close out aggressively. They have to close the space between the on-ball defender and Flagg, and that's a wrap, right? Then he's getting to his spots, and he's creating space, and he's drawing fouls, and it becomes a big deal. ESPN's Stat to Know. By the way, the AP poll updated today. Duke up to 3. They jumped from 4 to 3. ESPN did a reaction article that I was reading before the show, and they put a stat to know, right? Here's the stat to know about Duke. During Duke's 10-game win streak, Cooper Flagg has led or co-led the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He is just the 5th player since 2000 to lead or co-lead his team in all 5 categories during a 10-game win streak. It's the only thing that would keep me up at night if I were Jon Scheyer is there's a lot of dependence on one player. And then, like I said, Notre Dame scored. They went 14 of 24 from 3. That's crazy. Duke has rim protectors. We're about to talk about one in a second, Kaman Malawash. They should be able to run guys off the three-point line. You can't have that good of a defense and that much length and let somebody get that many good looks at threes off. And I know they went unconscious and were knocking down some tough ones, but it's Notre Dame. If you're going to hang your hat on defense, there shouldn't be anything that can one-up you there. I do want to go back and address how I'm looking at most ACC games for Duke this year, which is win and, right? Obviously, the UNC game is going to be different because it's UNC. That one is win at all costs, no matter what the record. There's other games. If you're on a particular road environment, there's going to be win no matter what because it's unusual. For a lot of games, it's win and. For this game to be successful, you have to win and blank. Win and do this. Win and do that. So on Friday, I said the win and was win and get Kaman Malawash going offensively. I still think there's untapped potential in his offense. He's going to be a top 10, at one point, top 3 projected NBA draft pick. He's tumbled all the way to the kind of the back half of the lottery. He is 7'2", 7'3", agile. He can jump. He can catch lobs. But if he's more than that, if he's more than just catching lobs and dunking, that makes them even more difficult to contain. Right? It gives them another option. It gives them another way to beat double teams. It gives them another person you can't help off of. He had his career high in points against Notre Dame, 19. And Jon Scheyer, today, when he spoke to the media, talked about where Malawash has grown.
I don't know where else you could find a 7'2" guy. One, his scoring punch with what he's done has been important, having 19 and 10 last game. But to find a 7'2" guy that can has the motor that he has, the fact he can guard 1 through 5, I think he's shown that now with the versatility with his switching while still protecting the rim. And I think his rebounding has really progressed in Kaman. And, I think his offensive stuff is going to keep getting better. So I think what he's done, I think he's really underrated in that regard. And as much as he's grown in this short period of time, I think he can still take another jump here in January and February.
Multiple jumps. It's the one thing I said, because I actually didn't anticipate Duke being this good this early. And you can go back and find the podcast or YouTube videos or whatever. So I'm not, I have receipts on this. I said at the beginning of the season when I, open and honest, put my biases on Front Street, I did pick them to win the national championship. So I'm not, twisting this one at all. But I said, if they lose 3 of their first 6, or if they're not great in non-conference play, do not let me say, oh, never mind, their potential isn't as high or their ceiling isn't as high as I thought, because I imagined them being significantly better at the end of February than in November. That might be said doubly and triply for somebody like Kamen Malawash. Because Malawash, he hasn't been playing basketball that long, and right, he's never really he played in the Olympics, so don't get me wrong. His team was one of the stars, but playing with this particular group where he's not the main course is going to be difficult. I think he has multiple steps to make, and throughout this ACC run, when they are playing the Notre Dames of the world, the lower tier teams of the ACC, that's where he can learn how to use his athleticism offensively. I think there's going to be a game in the either ACC tournament or NCAA tournament where they go to him 3 or 4 consecutive possessions and he gets 6 or 8 points. And it's going to be a turning point, and it's going to be a big moment because then everything's going to change, right? Because then the opposing team isn't going to be able to help off him. They're not going to be able to give as much intensity or attention to the Cooper Flaggs and Con Knipples of the world, and then what do you do with them? and then what do you? And John Shire's figuring some stuff out, and then what are you going to do with them? Tough thing to ask of a college basketball team. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm being told you can hear us at the local as they get ready for little Canes Corner this evening.
Shout out.
And everybody here on 99.9 The Fan should get together for a little Canes Corner this evening. The guest, Canes Corner, for those that don't know, by the way, 1 hour. It's co-hosted by us here at 99.9 The Fan and the Canes. Mike Maniscalco, the voice of the Canes, hosts, and there's always a guest, and it's usually a player, sometimes a former player, sometimes a coach. Today is one that I know Canes fans will be very excited for. About 5:30, so about 35 minutes from now, when Canes Corner takes over our airwaves, the guest of honor will be Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis, he's like I said, he's a crowd favorite. He's newly very well paid from this past offseason. He is a core member of the Canes moving forward, and you'll hear a whole bunch from him on this Canes season and everything they anticipate over the next handful of games and the rest of the season. So stick around for that. It is in, like I said, 35 minutes. We'll be actually getting off air a little early here on the drive to make way for Canes Corner, which I'm going to be listening. So
30 minutes away, basically.
Should be a really fun time. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Dennis Cox has something for you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks, check out trending parlays, and increase your winnings with Profit Boost. New customers can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win, and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, will be back with the starting 5. The CFP National Championship set, NFL playoffs. Duke wins, Canes lose, but they did have a pretty cool Staal honoring ceremony. That and more coming up.
All playoff roads lead to New Orleans.
Playoff football, baby.
The Wild Cards, the championship games, presented by First Horizon Bank and Wake Med, will be heard here.
Curtis Samuel 30, bang it inside of the 20, 15, 10, slips out of the tackle, touchdown Buffalo! 55 yards! Hot dog, man!
The Triangle's home for Super Bowl 59. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle sports leader.
Hello, I'm John Heister for the Heister Automotive Group. And you know, we're constantly looking for ways to serve you better. One of the ways we do that is with something we call a Go-See. And that's where you select a vehicle from our inventory, and we have thousands, and we get one of our product specialists to bring that vehicle to you at your convenience. How do we do that? Well, it's simple. We have a group of employees that are evaluated based on the number of presentations they do. They're glad to do it. So it's just one more way we get off our keister and bring Heister to you.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-403-5566. That's 800-403-5566. 800-403-5566.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, and here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, including half-price pizzas Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. We have an Arctic cold front passing. Temperatures gradually become cooler through Wednesday. Tonight's low 25, mostly sunny for the day. Tomorrow 47. Wind chills in the morning Wednesday. For some, could be in the single digits.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones this afternoon is up at the closing bell 358 points to 42,297.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for the starting 5 here on a Monday. So let's go ahead and jump into number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here's Ewers, snap, hit by Sawyer, ball's loose. Sawyer comes up with it, running down the right sideline, 40 to the 50-yard line. Sawyer to the 30, Jack Sawyer to the 20, to the 10, to the end zone. Touchdown!
The College Football National Championship set by the playoff, 12-team playoff for the first time. It is Notre Dame versus Ohio State. I don't think many would have predicted it. I think Ohio State would have gotten some predictions. Notre Dame was not the trendiest pick going into the 12-team playoff. Can I say this? I don't think Ohio State dominated Texas the way I thought they would. They're really two plays. And now I'm doing one of my own pet peeves here. You can't just take away the two biggest plays of the game and be like, take away those two, and it was a tie ball game. But I have no idea what Texas's defense was doing at the end of the first half when they let TreVeyon Henderson catch the screen and go straight up the sideline for 75 yards. And also, I mean, talk about, I don't want to say lucky bounces, but Jack Sawyer knocked the ball out of Quinn Ewers' hands and didn't even break stride, and the thing like levitated up into his hands. Football is a funny shape. They don't bounce up like basketballs like that very often, but of course it did. The big man hoofed it on down the field, and they win.
Play of the game, in my opinion.
Oh, easily. I mean, those were the two play of the games, but if you had to pick one, it's Sawyer. Texas did a great job limiting Jeremiah Smith, who's, Julio Jones at 18 years old, if you listen to any evaluators. Ohio State is a big favorite over Notre Dame in the national championship. I think I saw 7.5, 8 points, depending on where you're looking. If I'm Notre Dame, I'm watching that Texas game going, ooh, there's something here. There's an opportunity for us. This is not, and I got in this argument with somebody on Twitter, Ohio State is not an all-time great team. They're very good, don't get me wrong. Not only just having 2 losses to me eliminates you from conversations like, 01 Miami, 2019 LSU, 04 USC. Like, you lose 2 games, you can't be in that conversation. But you watch the Texas game and you just feel like you're not watching one of the greatest teams of all time. Very good team, might be the best team this year. But if I'm Notre Dame, I don't think they look unbeatable at all. They are the heavy favorite, though, so I'm not gonna pick Notre Dame or anything like that. I do think Riley Leonard, former Duke quarterback, is gonna have to be special for them to make it happen. And that's not to say he's got to put up ridiculous stats. He's just got to do the Riley Leonard thing that he's been doing since Duke. How many times did we see, like, you look at the stats at the end of the game, it's like Riley was kind of mediocre, but he did have that 44-yard touchdown run to seal it in the fourth.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of threw a bad pick early, but he did pick up those, 6 third downs with his legs. It's like he's going to have to do that sort of thing to keep Ohio State's offense off the field, because Ohio State's offense is the real deal. I'm a fan of the expanded playoff. Fix the seeding thing, fix who gets the byes, and I'm good with the 12-team playoff. 8 would have been better, but 12, I'll settle for it. That's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. All together.
Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
Commanders beat the Buccaneers 23-20.
But the one fun game of the weekend.
Let me see what else could have been fun. Eagles-Packers, not super fun. Packers did not look great. Bills-Broncos. I'll give the Broncos were ahead of schedule. Like, them just being physically in that game is a win for them. They weren't supposed to be there, and the Bills made them look like they weren't supposed to be there. Ravens-Steelers, I mean, it was fun in, like, probably wasn't fun for you. You're a Steelers fan.
That was awful.
But watching Lamar and Derrick Henry just impose their will was kind of crazy. Texans beat the Chargers. Herbert, a lot of interceptions. Stroud didn't look great either. So it was kind of, as the kids say, a mid-off. But then you end up winning 32-12. CJ Stroud, for whatever it is, the Texans, for whatever they are, they win. And that's worth something in this league. I'm not sure if it would have happened, but there were at least a few people that were, if they don't win this, then DeMeco Ryans needs to You win a playoff game, you pretty much get the right to do whatever you want as a head coach, right? You can change coaches, assistant coaches if you want to, or you can keep them. You can cut guys, bench guys, or you can re-sign them. Like, if you're winning playoff games, you are one of the decision makers in the league that gets it, and you have a leash. If you're someone like Mike Tomlin, do I miss it every year, or do I block it from my memory every year? I don't remember people calling for Mike Tomlin's job or to change things up in Pittsburgh as often as they're doing it right now.
Yeah, this is the heaviest that it's been.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple people in the last couple years, you can kind of be like one or two people be like, oh yeah, I got to get rid of them. It's like, for what? But now you're starting to hear it a lot more now.
That one makes no. I'll put it this way: if Mike Tomlin was fired or let go or whatever you want to call it by the Steelers, teams would fire their coach for the chance to interview him.
Yes. 100%.
For a percentage chance at getting Mike Tomlin to be their head coach.
Every current head coach in the NFL is going to go, uh-oh.
Maybe not every, but a lot of.
But a lot of them would.
I don't know if Andy Reid and
well, yes, of course.
Just like the handful, the ones still playing are probably still pretty comfortable. Commanders at Bucks, or Commanders beat the Bucks, I should say, 23-20. Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal of moxie and poise. He looks like a guy who's and you know, the nonchalance of it is pretty impressive. I am baffled by those types of quarterbacks. The ones who I don't know, I talked about this with CJ Bailey at NC State. I think it was the Clemson game. He was getting his first career start in college football on the road at Clemson. Just a massive game, and they cut to him when the kickoff was going on and he was yawning, and I just went, how is that? But how are you not not only not yawning but not hyperventilating? But he was just chill. Jaden Daniels had a lot of that, right? Games on the line down the stretch, you cut to him, it looks like he's joking around, or you cut to him and it looks like he's chilling. I'm just going that is something you cannot teach. Tonight, Vikings-Rams. Vikings, the Vikings, first of all, the Rams on the road kind of now, even though they earned the home playoff game because of the fires. Still thinking of everybody, the recovery efforts out there in California. It's going to be played in Arizona. Who knows what the vibe is there? If the Vikings beat Detroit near the end of the year, they're the 1 seed and they have a bye. They lose, this is their game that they, the punishment game that they have to play in order to get to the next round. They, I think, need the win. If they lose this game, suddenly the Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy thing takes on a whole mind of its own. There's so much on the line for the Vikings tonight. So much. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
Cooper on the baseline, turns around. He's got the record. 36 for Cooper Flagg.
36 turned into 42. The most scored by a ACC freshman. First 40-point game for a Duke player since J.J. Redick.
Long time ago.
That feels like how? Marvin Bagley never did it? He was like the stat freshman. How? Zion never did it? How?
By the way, second straight week that Cooper Flagg has been named both Rookie of the Week and Player of the Week in the ACC. And I think he has 6 ACC Rookie of the Week honors so far this season.
He has 6 Rookie of the Week, 3 Players of the Week, which is the most that a freshman has ever had. And it's January 13th. John Shire, after the game, talked about Cooper Flagg not being underappreciated.
I don't see how you can watch today and then underappreciate him, I hope. He's because he's doing things nobody really has ever done before. So, and he's not about numbers. I'm telling you, when this dude goes home, somebody says to him, man, you had 42, 6 and 7, and I say, okay, that, cool. That's not what he's about, which to me makes it even better because, you can get caught up with that, especially as a young player.
I'm baffled by this because it's not the first, and we've talked about it. People have said do not underrate Cooper Flagg, which just seems ridiculous on the surface. And maybe we are, but he's the projected number 1 overall pick. He's a Wooden Award candidate. We just mentioned all the records he's broken. That's not even I'm sure there's more records he's broken. But 42 points on 14 shots. Yowzers. Let's go ahead and jump to number 2, shall we? Let's accelerate and get to number 2 on the starting five.
Burns, right back for Natchez. Natchez to Jarvis, and he scores! Seth Jarvis with the extra attacker. We're tied at 2.
Now, why would we accelerate to the Canes as our number 2? Well, potentially because Canes Corner is coming up in less than 20 minutes here on 99.9 The Fan over at the local. Mike Maniscalco will be hosting. The special guest will be Seth Jarvis. And the Canes are coming off a kind of long weekend starting on Thursday last Thursday, that I'm calling the Staal weekend, because on Sunday they retired Eric Staal. Retired his jersey, I should say. He retired a while ago, unfortunately. They retired his jersey. It was a whole event for Eric Staal. Thursday, there was the hat trick from Jordan Staal, his little brother, against Vancouver. On Friday, Jordan Staal opened the scoring. That ended up being a 2-zippy win for the Canes. And then Anaheim on Eric Staal jersey night was a 3-2 overtime loss for the Canes. I don't think it's crazy or out of line to look at the goaltender situation moving forward and have some questions. Now, goalie to me, first of all, choosing to be a goalie, there is something about that choice, right? Going back to when you did it as like a youth player, something about that choice, you knew you were in for the pressure, right? You knew you liked being the guy that could save your teammates. You knew it. So your mindset's a little different than a lot of athletes. Goalies to me they're hard to understand. But Kochetkov is from the outside looks like he's in a strange place right now. The one thing that I loved about Kochetkov was he always looked like he was having fun, right? He was a goalie and which is tough to do, right? I mean, goalie is hard as heck, and projectiles coming at you with a high degree of velocity, and he always seemed like he was having a good time. He always seemed like the mistakes didn't take away from his aggression on the next play. As of late, are you getting a different vibe from Kochetkov a little bit?
I would say maybe he's maybe just putting a little too much pressure on himself, knowing
that's
that
kind of the vibe.
I am the guy right now, and I've had to do a little bit more because Freddie Anderson isn't there, and I'm not getting every other game off. Essentially, I don't know if he's just putting a little bit more pressure on himself to be great in every single moment.
Here's where it becomes difficult. And this is why you have goalie coaches, and this is why Rod Brindamore is as experienced as he is and everything else. I think one of the hardest parts of coaching, and this goes for any sport, but darn sure for goalies, is when you recognize somebody isn't in the headspace where they perform the best. And how do you get them there? How do you get them there? And I've told this story a whole bunch, but when I was playing in college football, I was the holder on field goals. Bet you didn't know I had that awesome skill in my back pocket. I was the holder, and you think a lot about, like, what do I need to do to make sure 100% the kicker is in the right mind space? Because kickers are a strange breed. Kickers are the people that sign up with, like, yeah, I would like to play 2 plays per game and have everybody either love me or hate me. Like, that's a weird decision to make. So you go out there and you're always making sure, right, the pH levels are balanced. And I don't know if I ever came to a point where, like, I knew 100% the buttons to push or the strings to pull, because it's just tough to see inside someone's brain like that. But I can tell you this. When a kicker is off, you're aware of it. When you look in their eyes, you're like, ooh, I don't know if he's in the right spot. I'm not saying that's true with Kochetkov, but if it happens, somebody's got to be able to get him there. Dustin Tokarski, valiant, right? That's how I'm describing Tokarski. He has been playing valiant, and you've actually won his last 3 starts, one of them in OT. So, like, He's putting out the effort. He's doing everything you could ask from a player in his position. But I don't think he's the type of guy where you're going to put him out there like 2 or 3 games in a row so Kochetkov can reset. I don't think you put him out there for a period of time so Kochetkov can figure out where his fun is. They've got Buffalo on Wednesday. Haven't won 3 consecutive games going back to mid-November. I do think they found a bit of their edge, so that's less of a priority front of the burners for me. But the goaltender is where I look to. Again, if you are going to hang out, we are now less than 15 minutes away from Canes Corner here on 99.9 The Fan. You can hear from Seth Jarvis himself, which means you will get some insight, probably some jokes, probably some stories, some laughs, and some cold hard information.
Just a good time.
Rod Brindamore, by the way, will play this clip for you to hear from Rod a little bit. Rod Brindamore felt they controlled the game, most of the game against the Ducks on Sunday.
We had a few good looks and kind of whiffed. There was just some weird plays that just wasn't tonight. I mean, right away, even in the first period, I think Netzi has a beautiful look, was off the bar maybe, or like those are inches here or there that just changes the whole game. So I'm going to look at it from the positive side of things. I thought it was a 60-minute. I thought it was a solid game, and I loved how we certainly didn't quit and found a way to at least tie it
up. Natchez did have a great look, and Dennis, I know you had some stats on Natchez's little scoring. I don't want to call it a slump, but maybe
18
a
games,
mini
only
slump,
1 goal.
Mini slump. It's just so hard because he's still, the season-long statistics and averages are still not terrifying. It has to feel like there's a lid on the goal for him.
Oh, yeah. And he's been robbed a couple times.
That's what I'm
too.
saying.
Like, come on.
Like last night, off his stick, he's probably going, finally, there's one, only to be robbed. And that's a mental hurdle you have to overcome. So probably do some puck luck regression to the mean for the Canes, probably due to get some cheapies here. But it's been tough sledding over the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Taylor going to drive hard against Cadeau. His shot blocked by Jalen Washington. Into the hands. Washington has it. That's it.
Wow.
The horn sounds. Jalen Washington with a double-double and the game-sealing block.
That's what it sounded like at the end of UNC squeaking by NC State men's basketball over the weekend. Actually, this was probably one of and we'll mix the Canes and NC State UNC together. We had a caller earlier today that was at the UNC NC State game and said that the arena, the Lenovo Center, sounded like it was a Canes game. And that was the compliment that was made to the NC State crowd, that despite it being maybe not the most productive, not the most obvious successful season for NC State, crowds still showed up for a rivalry game, made their presence known against UNC. There is a funny phenomena happening with State and UNC, which is they both are playing in a boatload of tight games, a boatload of close games, which could be spun as a positive or a negative. Let's hear from the coaches. Kevin Keats, head coach of NC State, talked about playing 4 one-possession ACC games already.
We've had 4 games that were one-possession games, and we ended up winning, 2 of those. The UVA game, and I'm talking about conference, just so you know this. UVA game was a 3-point game. We didn't think we played well in the second half defensively. I'm going back to Florida State, that first game that went into overtime, and then the 2 games this week between the trio of us, Carolina and Notre Dame. All 3 of those games between each team could have went a different way. We played better defensively this week. We just got to find a way to score a few more points. When you look at both of those games, it was in the low 60s, and if we can get a little bit more ball movement, player movement, I think we'll be fine.
Now let's go to the other side, the winning team, UNC. Hubert Davis, their head coach, talked about their early season schedule, preparing them for a bunch of these really close, tight games.
The schedule that we played in non-conference has helped us. I mean, a lot of people don't even include in the preseason, we went to Memphis. Then we played a true road game at Hawaii. I mean, how many games have we played? 16, 17 games? 9 away from home, 10. And so, yes, playing here is a very difficult environment, but we've been there before. And we've been in that situation where we need a basket or we need a stop. So it's great to be able to pull from experiences that you've had as a team and individually to be able to execute. And that's what we talked about in the huddle prior to the last possession defensively is we were in the same situation against UCLA and we just needed one stop.
Here's the rock and a hard place. Here's the quandary. Playing in close games and getting that experience is valuable. I've talked about, there are certain teams throughout sports history where they're so good in the regular season that when they're tested in the postseason, it's like their first time being punched in the mouth. They don't know how to react. I think you need to be in close games so you know how to react. You know which players are your go-tos. You know how to calm yourself down. The other side is you got to look at who you're in these close games with. Right? Notre Dame shouldn't be taking either of these teams down to the wire, and they did. There are certain teams that it's like if you're in a close game with them, that kind of makes you look like peers. It's the beauty of UNC fans right now because their team won, being able to talk trash to NC State about how bad their basketball team is, and then also having to come to grips with it was tied with just a couple seconds left. Right? If they're that bad, are you just one step above as bad as you're saying they are? Well, maybe. At a certain point, you have to start leveling up and not being in close games with teams that you consider yourself much better than. Right? A win is a win is a win is a win is a win. And I'll always say that you celebrate every win, but then you need to have honest conversations. A lot of schools in the ACC right now are competitively playing games. That does not equal quality. It's how we started the show. It's how we'll come near the end of the show. A game being close down the stretch, being entertaining, getting the crowd involved, having multiple lead changes. That doesn't necessarily mean you are playing ridiculously high-quality basketball. That just means you and your opponent are playing very similar levels of basketball. A little bit of news here, and it's not breaking news, but there's a few things happening in the transfer portal market. NC State defensive back transfer Tamarcus Cooley, who hit the portal along with many other secondary players for NC State. His agents, which, yeah, that happens. His agents tell 247 Sports he is signed with LSU. So if what everyone says about the SEC is true and they're all spending oodles and oodles of cash, Tamarcus Cooley just cashed a nice little check to play with the LSU Tigers. So he's obviously not going to withdraw from the portal and go back to NC State. And then the rival, we were just talking NC State and UNC. 247 Sports also reporting that Washington, like the Huskies, right? UW, University of Washington safety Peyton Waters has signed with UNC. So he is a player who will be joining Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels.
Stephen Belichick was their defensive coordinator in Washington previously, bringing someone over with him.
Probably would have connected that at some point, but I hadn't done it yet. He was a 4-star prospect and number 231 overall in the top 300 in the 2024 class. I never know which it's draft classes. That's last year's freshman class. Is that what that is? The 2024 class?
Sure.
All right. So he's a big-time recruit coming to UNC. No surprise there. They're going to have to get a lot of guys out of the portal. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we pass things over to Kane's Corner, Mike Maniscalco, Seth Jarvis, I'm Tim Donnelly for DraftKings Sportsbook. It is that time of year, everybody. We're talking playoffs. It was a great weekend with a whole bunch of playoffs. You bet we're talking playoffs. It's all I can talk about. That's not true. But I'm talking about it a lot. So get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. It is the number one place to bet touchdowns. So if you're ready for your first bet, try betting on something simple like what I've been describing, a player to score 6. It's that simple. You look at the lines right now. Kyron Williams most likely to score, according to the odds, minus 135. But you could find someone like Puka Nacua, plus money, plus 115. Cooper Kupp, plus 160. If you're looking for Matt Stafford to throw some touchdowns, those are some good options. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIMD, that's code TIMD with no spaces, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. We mentioned it earlier. I'll tell you again. Canes Corner, less than 5 minutes away. Mike Maniscalco, Seth Jarvis from the local. Enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow for a regular edition of The Drive. Until then, have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and